What's going on, guys? So in today's video, we have a story to talk about. So we're going to be talking about a stock promoter that is now getting sued by the company that he was originally promoting. Okay? Yes, you heard that right. Kind of sounds crazy, but here we go. We have a lot to unpack here in this video. And then, of course, we actually have some of the official documents to talk about as well. So real quick, the stock in question that I do want to pull up right here is actually LTNC. It is on the OTC market, so you can't actually trade this, let's say, on, I believe, Webull. Actually, you might be able to trade on Webull, but Webull, most of the OTCs, you can't actually trade on Webull. For the most part, you can only trade this on like TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, and some other brokers. No, you can't trade it on Robinhood, things like that, okay? So go back to the beginning of 2021, and we got a 00, so it's not even a penny, okay? It's currently sitting just around a penny as we speak right now, as the market has closed today, and it hit highs of almost 9 cents, actually 0.088 cents, okay? So this stock went on quite the run. If we take a peek at how much it ran from the beginning of February all the way to its peak back at the beginning of April, this was up over 10,000%, okay? So just think of somebody who may or may not have scooped up some cheap shares and rode this thing to the top. And maybe you didn't sell it at 8 cents. Maybe you sold it at 5. Maybe you sold it at 3. You're still up crazy high percentages. Now, you understand that with the OTC stocks, this type of stuff happens. But you also have to understand that a lot of times you see the massive downsides. The backside of a trade becomes massive with some of these OTCs. So you want to make sure you're careful of that. However, as of right now, it may be looking to base and potentially bounce to the upside. And of course, the longevity of the company will play a role as well. Now, I'm not going to take any shots by any means at the company because I actually hope that they do quite well. For those questioning the company, here it is. It's next level, okay? They essentially have a hydrogen water that is like, I guess, like their core product, but they have more also as well. They have these nootropic energizer shots as well, so you can get a pack of these. You also get the water. Now, it's pretty expensive from some of the reviews. People are like, yeah, it's kind of expensive for what it is, and it really, from the reviews, doesn't actually taste much different. It's not like it tastes bad, but it doesn't taste great. It's not like a flavored energy drink or something crazy that we see these days with a lot of other companies, and who knows how that progresses down the line. But it's very funny how this story pans out, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into that. But for those of you who are potentially familiar with this stock already, you may have heard of this stock from a guy that went by the name of Stan the Trading Man on Twitter. Now, he was on other platforms as well, but his Twitter has actually since been deleted or deactivated. So you don't even know that this guy even exists anymore because he's no longer posting. Now, why is he not posting? Well, he's actually getting sued. And we'll dive into this right here, this official document here in just a second. But this is very interesting because a lot of people talk about this stock and they talk about the potential, and there was a lot of hype. And to be honest, the CEO, Takeover Joe, here on Twitter, the guy's actually jacked. If we take a look, he's absolutely jacked. So they've also got Manny Pacquiao. They have some videos of Manny Pacquiao drinking some LTNC right here. Look at that, LTNC water, as people call it on social media these days. That's the ticker symbol, LTNC. It's next level. But they have some other, celebrities, and they're trying to get more and more exposure. And just how any, company starting out would like to do, right? You want to get your product in the hands of some big names, right? Big names that's going to put some more eyes on your product. And that's how a lot of influencer marketing works these days across the board with a lot of other companies, and not just a publicly traded company. So he's got plenty of videos on here, and he's got plenty of updates and comments, and they really milk out the Manny Pacquiao message as well. But that's essentially kind of, this is where you're getting a lot of your information from. But a lot of people were getting their information from this guy, Stan the Trading Man. And the guy was continuously talking about the stock day after day after day, aka pumping the stock. Now, that, of course, is classified a lot of different ways. Everyone has their own opinion on a pumper and whatnot, and what that actually means and the extent. Now, do we actually know when Stan got into this stock? No. Could he have gotten into this stock at 1 penny and sold it at 3 or 4 or 5 or even 8? Right? He could have made a killing on this stock, and he doesn't really care because he made money, and he even claims he hasn't up until the point, actually, in the official letter here we're going to talk about, that he did actually sell the majority of his stake. So he's talking about the stock, he's pumping it on up, and he's trying to get in contact with the CEO, he's trying to get in contact with the company and more and more and more, and trying to be, really an influential part of the company to help promote the stock, get more attention on the stock, because ultimately more attention, right, more eyes, that's going to probably help your stock. And a lot of companies do that with a press release. You put out a press release, and you see it happen all the time in penny stocks. Stock pops on up because of that press release, and then it pulls back down, or it holds up depending upon how meaningful that press release actually was for the company. Okay. So that said, that aside, the guy's talking about the stock. He's talking about every single day how it's going to go to $1, $1. That's his price target next couple of years, $3 to $5. He was talking about these ridiculous price targets, which if you do the math, were absolutely astronomical percentage gains. And it came out to ridiculous market cap valuations of this company. Now, of course, right, who knows how that plays out, and could the company come out and could the company really solidify themselves down the line? For sure, right? We're not doubting that, at least as of right now, but got a long road to go, right? A lot more sales, a lot more, has to kind of, happen down the line for that to be the case. So in the meantime, what do we have right now? What do we want to talk about? Well, we want to talk about this right here. So the guy Stan, the trading man, also known as Barsh here in this, he's getting sued, okay? Takeover Industries versus Barsh, okay? And so we talk about, we dive a little bit deeper into, we obviously aren't going to read this line for line. Of course, you guys can look this up. I actually pulled it off of the guy Takeover Joe's Twitter. But essentially right here, they bring this matter against defendant Stanley Barsh, that's Stan, okay, for intentional interference with contractual relations, interference with prospective economic advantage, negligent interference with prospective economic relations, and statutory unfair competition as follows. So I think it's actually funny because we get a background on this guy too. If you haven't followed him or didn't know about him on Twitter or hadn't heard about him, you get a little bit of a background. So we talk about the defendant Barsh here in this case. He's a former law enforcement officer and a real estate broker residing in Maryland. And he is also now a stock advisor, right, as many, during the pandemic. But he started trading apparently in July of 2019. So before the pandemic, about 6 months or so prior to the crash and prior to when a lot of new traders got into the market. And apparently he made his way up over the several months that followed and made a lot of money and was able to kind of, build a following on social media, on Twitter, to allow him to really kind of voice his opinion and move penny stocks, okay? Because he's talking about these stocks, right, that are trading, but they're penny stocks, and his following, obviously, talking about thousands of people here. I think he had over 100,000 followers at one point, if not more. That could move a stock, especially if you tweet about it and you start buying a good chunk of shares. So he claims to hold the stocks he talks about and not trade them actively. But if your stock pops up 1,000%, 5,000, 10,000% like LTNC, I know you definitely have the urge. And we talked about in the last video, the guy Pro the Doge talking about Dogecoin, how he at one point had about $3 million in Dogecoin, but he never sold. But, for a lot of people who aren't in the public eye and who don't have to necessarily show their account every day or every week, who could just talk out wherever, they are going to be very, very, very inclined, I would imagine, to take some of that money, to lock in some of those gains, take some of those profits if your stock moves up that much in a relatively short period of time. They give a little more background of the company Next Level Water as well. But they talk about Barsh again here, Stan. We'll just call him Stan, okay? And since this kind of has been going on, right, they're talking about, hey, this guy's a trader. Stan the trading man. He, while he may say he wants the best for the company, he may say this and that, at the end of the day, the guy is trying to make money on fluctuations in stock price, okay? And they even said how the stock was from below 1 cent per share. Now it's up over 8 cents and then 2 cents at the time this was filed, the time this was actually reported. But he has been certainly commenting throughout this entire time. These stories are actually honestly hilarious. So they have representatives that held a meeting with a prominent sports figure and his trainer. Okay, so they're trying to recruit athletes in a sense to promote their product. Okay, that's what a lot of companies will do. So Stan was aware of the meeting. He was instructed to not mention to the meeting or those involved, yet he immediately began to send out electronic messages, most likely on Twitter, his tweets, talking that they may be involved, LTNC Next Level may be involved with a specific athlete, sports figure in this case. Now, these actions undermine trust in the company and then resulted in cease and desist letters from the athlete's management. Because what may potentially be happening is you have his following, his cult following, going and tagging this athlete and going after this athlete for whatever reason, and who knows, and maybe this person didn't want that. This athlete didn't want that. And they were unable to then actually complete the endorsement deal. They are calling it because of Stan. Continuing on, he attended a ribbon cutting ceremony, and also on May 18th, 2021, this is actually fairly recently from when we're filming this video, he approached Takeover, the company, Stan, and he asked to essentially become a stock market advisor or spokesperson for the company and a fundraiser, okay? Then on June 4th, he actually wrote to an advisor, the company, that he liquidated 99% of his stock so that he could work for Takeover with no conflicts and insider trading risk. Well, let's go back to June 4th and take a peek at what the price was sitting at. Go back to June 4th, and the price actually was just about 3.5 cents. It actually popped up. Wouldn't have been surprised if he maybe put out a couple of tweets at that point, pumping the stock a little bit, who knows? And the stock pops on up a little bit, so he gets out, and that's it. If that's true, if that is even true. Now, the problem here is that the way that this company is seeing it is that, hey, like, we are focused on the company here. We don't want to really take part in any day trading and any of that stuff. We're not trying to pump our stock. We're trying to actually create a company here and actually run our business. However, right, he starts continuing to talk to them. He's asking them and saying, hey, you know, what if you guys took your company public? And he's asking more and more questions, and they're talking a little bit deeper, and they could see how, he's trying to tell them how they can benefit financially from taking a company public and raising more money and, really helping and expand the future business. And they have more information than they have right here. The first claim is intentional interference with contractual relations. So what's really interesting here, that it's very funny how this is kind of playing out, but you guys kind of get the point, right? This guy's a trader. He's trying to kind of entrench himself a little bit deeper into the business, into this company, while at the same time holding shares and talking very, very highly of this company, where it has not grown to a very large level as of yet in terms of revenue and whatnot to meet potential valuations that it did see when it was up around 8 cents. And then the guy's trying to dig a little bit deeper, and he's trying to get into the company and trying to be a stock promoter in a sense, and work with the company and not necessarily just as a trader. So he's trying to get a little bit deeper. They're claiming that because of his action, because of his action on social media, and because of his big following, they have been harmed. They've had opportunities cut off, and he has prevented them from, taking on athletes and things like that. Then down towards the end, what do we actually get to at the end of this whole thing? So they're looking for compensation essentially of exceeding $75,000 for his actions, essentially that what he has caused on the company. So, of course, we'll see how this plays out, but this was dated June 22nd, so we're about a week or so, late to at least when we're filming this video. But that's the story. That's what we have going on. That's the issue that we have at hand with LTNC. So if you kind of are curious as to what happened to this guy, if you were following him and whatnot, well, there you go. So he deletes his Twitter because that was, part of the involvement there, right? He was promoting the stock, talking about the stock, and they were like, hey, you know what? We honestly, at this point, we don't want you to talk about our stock. We're not interested in pumping our stock. We are interested in building a business here, not someone pumping and dumping a stock. So there you guys have it. Let me know in the comments section down below if you had bought LTNC, if you are aware of what is going on behind the scenes with this guy, with the situation, if you were aware of it because of Stan the Trading Man, and whatnot. So let me know in the comments section and down below. Love to hear you guys' thoughts, especially the future going forward for LTNC. Will it rebound? Will it sit back down, or will it kind of continue to kind of peter off and fade out on lower volume? So thanks so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate you guys. Comment for the algorithm, thumbs up for the algorithm, and we'll see you guys in the next video after you take a peek at the links down below and the resources section in the description box, as well as the link in the pinned comment to get access to Tiprang's birthday sale, significantly discounted as of right now on their memberships, which is a platform I use to research all of my stocks. Thanks so much, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.